Having a good workspace is a privilege. I, for one, took several years to finally have a desk setup that I can be proud of. And while it's not filled with the latest and greatest tools, it's been a constant reminder of the progress I've made and the things that I can do with a little bit of faith, hard work, and luck. I'm JC, and this is my work from home setup. Let's start with the desk itself. This is the Troton desk from IKEA, and it's become one of the best investments I've made in recent years. It's clean, sturdy, and at exactly 120 centimeters long, it fits just right on the available space in my room. Its size is also enough to hold everything I need for a conducive work from home setup, which is powered by the first generation 13-inch M1 MacBook Air that I bought in 2021. This thing has 16 gigs of memory, 256 gigs of SSD, and honestly, it's been one heck of a champ in doing all the things I need to do for designing, video and photo editing, and almost any other creative work, as well as general productivity tasks. And as tempting as it is to upgrade to the latest generation of MacBooks, I always find it hard to justify the expense because of how good this thing really is. It's far from being the fastest in terms of rendering and exporting files from Figma, Lightroom, and DaVinci Resolve, but it's been good enough to deliver work within deadlines, and that's all that matters to me. However, there are a few things about this laptop that I still needed to optimize for my workflow, and that's the storage size. With apps and files getting bigger and bigger these days, 256 gigs just don't cut it, especially for creative work. And choosing 256 gigs is a mistake that still haunts me to this day. I've actually lost count the times I'd have to clean up my storage just to make way for new files, but at the very least, I can always plug in my external SSDs for any project that would require loads of storage. For the most part, this has definitely been a learning experience to not skimp on storage space when I do decide to upgrade my Mac. Then there's also the minor issue of having a small 13-inch display. If you're a creative professional like me, you just know the struggle of multitasking in such a small display, which is why this laptop is connected to this 27-inch 4K LG monitor through a single USB-C cable. And this allows it to function as the centerpiece of my desk setup. Now, the stand that came along with this monitor was too bulky for my space, so I decided to use a monitor mount instead for a much cleaner look. Overall, this monitor has been remarkable with its IPS display that's really great at matching the colors that I have in my MacBook, which is important, especially for graphic design and photo editing. I actually used to own a 1080p monitor that, compared to this LG monitor, produced wildly inaccurate colors and was painful to stare at all day. So having this has definitely been a great investment to the overall setup. One other thing I really like about this monitor, apart from the display quality, is the number of ports in the back that allows it to act like a hub for all other accessories I needed in my setup. Some of those accessories include this monitor light from Xiaomi and a magnetic lamp from Beijus that both help in minimizing eye strain, especially at night. The light bar is powered by the monitor and it's wirelessly controlled via this battery-powered knob where I can adjust the light intensity and temperature. The magnetic lamp at the back acts as my bias light and is also battery-powered and rechargeable. This lighting combination has been good at reducing eye strain from the monitor, and the fact that I didn't have to spend a ton for them really makes them a valuable addition to the setup. Another thing that's connected to the monitor is this, the QK65 mechanical keyboard from a company called Owlabs. This uses a minimalist set of black and white keycaps from KBD fans and a Boba U40 tactile switches from a brand called Gazoo. It's a 65% layout keyboard, and while it doesn't contain all of the keys that are built in the MacBook keyboard, having a free software that I can use to program and configure the keys makes the experience seamless. There was actually a time when I was really into mechanical keyboards and I even thought that I would go down that rabbit hole. But after having this, I don't think I would want any other keyboard. I mean, just listen to the sound. Now, because the keyboard is significantly taller compared to a typical wireless keyboard, I was also compelled to purchase this wooden wrist rest from a local brand here in the Philippines. It's made out of walnut and it just adds a little bit of personality to an otherwise very monotonous desk. I'm also convinced that this helps with the ergonomics of my wrists, especially when I'm on my desk all day. Speaking of ergonomics, the mouse I use is the Logitech MX Master 3S, which is arguably a staple for most people in the creative industry. It has a bunch of buttons that you can program according to the software that you're using, and this is something I find very helpful. But honestly, most of the time, I just program these two buttons to undo and redo instead of pressing Command Z all the time. And the horizontal scroll placement is so intuitive that it's just become second nature when using, especially when I'm going around my designs in Figma. Now for the last part of all the tech-related stuff is this microphone that I use for all my meetings. As someone who works from home, investing in good audio is very important to make sure you're able to communicate well during your calls. This microphone is the Samsung Q2U, which I believe is a budget podcast microphone and was given to me by the company I work at. This mic requires a USB-A port, but because my MacBook Air doesn't have any, I use this Soho dock from CalDigit. Unfortunately, the cable situation can be an eyesore at times, but if it works, it's all that matters. The mic is mounted on this heavy-duty mic arm that I got online as well, and this is honestly the fourth microphone arm that I bought because the first three mic arms were really cheap and in turn didn't last very long. So having gone through multiple cheap products really justifies investing in quality ones because it'll just save me a lot in the long run. Now for the non-tech related stuff on my desk are just some books on display that I sometimes read when I need to take a break, but I'm not gonna lie, 80% of the time they're just there to add a little bit of personality to my desk and give me a little street cred, you know what I mean. For the other 20% of the time, they're there when I feel overwhelmed at work and I just need to consume a different media. By the way, my office chair is this ergonomic chair from Stance Philippines and it's been a solid investment. I remember back when we were forced to work from home at the height of the COVID pandemic that I didn't have a proper office chair, so I would just use our dining chairs. And that caused me back and butt pain every single day. So this being one of the first things I bought when the pandemic eased out was somehow a lifesaver because it helped me work for long hours and I wouldn't feel any discomfort at all. Also, this mesh material's been very helpful for working in a very warm climate, like I could sit for several hours on this thing without feeling warm. And then lastly, of course, is a literal elephant in the room. This massive calendar called the Standig calendar. And there's just something about it that resonates well with me, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. But I do know that having this calendar towering over everything else in my desk and in my room reminds me that the days are long, but the years are short. And so I have to make every day count. It's also been my main New Year's resolution for 2025 to just do the things that I promised myself I would do. And this calendar is a reminder of the actions that I can take with the time given to me. So hopefully by the end of this year, I will be able to look back and give myself a pat on the back for a job well done. But until then, today is all that matters. I'm JC, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.